Long before the first call to prayer, there was already a house of stone in the desert, and people already walked around it. Barefoot pilgrims circled a cube of grey rock in the heart of Arabia, kissing a black stone set in its corner, whispering to gods carved from wood and agate. Inside and around that cube stood 360 idols, one for nearly every day of the year. This was the Kaaba, and it was already ancient. This is Mecca before Islam, the world the Prophet Muhammad was born into, not the one he left behind. Later, historians would call this age the Jahiliyyah, the time of ignorance. But it was not a world without God. It was a world drowning in them. And once you understand what that desert actually believed, who they worshipped, and why, you will never look at the Kaaba or at Islam itself the same way again. Picture Arabia in the 6th century after Christ. To the north, two exhausted empires, Byzantine Rome and Sasanian Persia, bled each other white in endless war. Between them lay a sea of sand that no army wanted, the Arabian Peninsula, and in its western spine, the Hijaz, sat a dry, unremarkable valley town called Mecca. Mecca had no river, no farmland. What it had was the Kaaba and water, the well of Zamzam, and a place on the incense road where caravans carrying frankincense and myrrh moved between Yemen and the Mediterranean. The tribe that controlled all of it was the Quraysh. They were merchants and guardians, keepers of the sanctuary, organizers of the pilgrimage, masters of the caravan. In their own memory, the Kaaba had been raised by the Prophet Ibrahim and his son, Ismail, generations beyond counting. But by the 6th century, the house of the one God had become something else entirely. Step inside that world. The Kaaba was not empty. Around it and within it stood idols of every kind. Gods of stone, gods of wood, gods brought by tribes from across the peninsula and left in Mecca like offerings. Tradition counts 360 of them. Towering above the rest stood Hubal, carved, the old accounts say, from red agate in the shape of a man, his broken right hand replaced with gold. Before Hubal, the Quraysh cast divination arrows to decide marriages, journeys, and disputes. When a man did not know what to do, he came to this statue and let the arrows speak. And in the corner of the house sat the black stone, the Hajar al-Aswad, already sacred, already kissed by pilgrims long before the Prophet was born. But the most powerful figures in that sky were three goddesses. Al-Lat, whose name may simply mean the goddess, worshipped as a white stone in the town of Taif. Al-Uzza, the mighty, honored in a grove of acacia trees. And Manat, the oldest of the three, goddess of fate and destiny, of the fortune that lifts a man or buries him. The Arabs called them the Banat Allah, the daughters of God. And here is the detail most people miss. The pagans of Mecca already knew Allah. The word was not invented by Islam. Allah, Al-Ilah, the God, was recognized across Arabia as the supreme creator, the maker of the heavens. But he was distant, too high to reach. So the people prayed to his daughters and to Hubal and to 359 others as intermediaries, voices, to carry their prayers up to a God they believed had grown too far away to hear them. This was a hard world. Loyalty ran only as deep as blood. A man's protection was his tribe, and outside it, he was no one. Feuds passed from father to son, and in years of famine, some buried newborn daughters alive in the sand, a custom the Quran would later condemn with a single devastating question: for what sin was she killed? Yet it was also a world of staggering beauty. The Arabs built no schools of philosophy, but they had the word. Poets were the celebrities and the newsmen of the desert, and the greatest poems were said to be hung upon the Kaaba itself. Once a year, in sacred months, the tribes laid down their weapons and gathered at the fair of Ukaz to trade, to recite, and to walk the pilgrimage. And around the year 570, an army came up from the south, the Abyssinian general Abraha, marching on Mecca with a war elephant to tear the Kaaba down. He failed. The Arabs would remember it as the Year of the Elephant. By tradition, it was the year Muhammad was born. And in the shadows of all this, a few men had grown restless. They were called the Hanifs, seekers who rejected the idols entirely and tried to recover the pure faith of Ibrahim. One of them, Zayd ibn Amr, is remembered standing beside the Kaaba and declaring that he worshipped none of these gods, that he was searching for the one Lord of Abraham and could not find the way. He would die before the revelation ever came. And here is what almost no one expects. Many of the rituals we now think of as purely Islamic were already there. Pilgrims already circled the Kaaba 7 times. They already ran between the hills of Safa and Marwa. They already stood in the plain of Arafat and cast stones in the valley of Mina. The pilgrimage, the Hajj, did not begin with Islam. It was inherited. What would change was not the motion of the feet. It was the direction of the heart. So here is the reframe. We imagine that Islam arrived in a godless desert and installed a god. The opposite is closer to the truth. The desert was crowded with the divine. Every hill, every tribe, every corner of the Kaaba had its spirit in its stone. Islam's radical claim was not that God existed. Everyone agreed on that. It was that only one did, and that he needed no daughters, no arrows, no idols to be reached. The word Jahiliyyah is usually translated the age of ignorance. But these were not ignorant people. They were poets, navigators of the stars, masters of memory and trade. Their ignorance, the Quran suggests, was not of facts. It was of the heart, a recklessness, a forgetting of the one they already half remembered. And when Muhammad finally returned to Mecca in triumph, he did not build a new temple. He walked into the old one, and one by one he removed the gods that did not belong. That house of gray stone still stands. But walk toward it today and you will find no Hubal, no divination arrows, no 360 idols. You will find a single empty cube, draped in black, and around it a river of human beings. Millions of them every year, circling 7 times, exactly as the pilgrims did 1,500 years ago. The hills they run between are the same hills. The valley where they stand is the same valley. Even the black stone remains, still set in the same corner, still kissed. Almost nothing about the ritual changed. Everything about its meaning did. The oldest sanctuary in Arabia was not destroyed by Islam. It was emptied, and then it was returned. 360 gods once stood inside the Kaaba. Islam did not add a new one to the crowd. It removed 359, and said the last remained. The one who had been there before Hubal, before the arrows, before the idols. The one the Arabs called Allah, even as they knelt to others. The house did not begin with Islam. Islam began by emptying the house, and into the silence where 360 voices once clamored, a single sentence was left standing. There is no God but God.